Hey, folks. Thanks for joining me for the Ask Lon session this evening for the members. So, if you have any questions, have anything to ask me about anything, feel free to put it up there. It's been quite busy around here with the book and the website, and we're running to some issues with the website because I ended up having to get more server space. So, I'm dealing with that. So until we get that straightened out, it's going to be a little bit more time, but we're working on it. So anyway, if you got questions, put them up there, and we'll see what we can do. Um, Again, I want to thank everybody who has contributed to the website build. If you're so inclined to want to make a donation, the links for the Buy Me a Coffee and for my PayPal are down in the description. So you can definitely use that. It's much appreciated. And you can also, put it into I guess there's super chats on here as well during these member things. So I don't know. I think it is. But yeah, anything you want to talk about, let me know. I will mention the show on Friday is going to be pretty interesting. We got I had been talking about this sighting we had in Columbia, Maryland, and yeah, you have to pay for a server. I hope you could keep your previous. Well, yeah, but see, the old website was with Google, and Google has unlimited server space. So when you build a new website, you've got to put enough data space to be able to put your old reports and everything else in there without things slowing up. So it's the server is probably going to run me about $1,500 a year for that. So yeah, a website build and server space and everything isn't cheap. So yep. But anyway, I was talking about this thing in Colombia, and I will talk about it. I'm gonna go back over a sighting and an encounter that happened back in 2021, and I had talked about it before, where the police officer had the upright canine go into his home. And this new sighting was in Colombia, which is only like 11 miles away from there. And the description of the creatures is pretty similar, light colored, kind of grayish color, maybe off white. And yeah, so the problem is um, that I'm trying to identify if this may be the same creature, and apparently it may very well be. I'm believing it is. Now, Rissa Miller, who's on my team, she did go to the location and talk to the witness in person, and I've got all that information. I did talk about it on Spaced Out Radio last time I was on there, but I'm going to give the full details on Friday night. Then we just got another report, thanks to Rissa, of a sighting in Lancaster County on a farm. That was very recent. So, and it does sound legit. So, here in Pennsylvania, you never know what you're going to run into. So, Sir Wolf, hey Lon, you're going to use AI to look for patterns in all these reports. I've been doing it already. Even before the site went down, I've been using AI for a lot of that. We're it's going to be part of the whole website rebuild using AI for a lot of these investigations. So with the help of Kevin and others, I've been working on a project for a while now. So we're going to see how it works out. So far, it's been pretty good. I've been using it for Dave Scott and Tim James's investigation of the Flight 21 crash site. And I don't know if you've been keeping track of that, but if you go over to Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel, they have it up there. They've been taking videos each time they go to the location. It's very interesting. We don't know what's going on there. We're trying to figure it out, but Yeah, it's been quite an investigation. So, yeah, so this other sighting in Pennsylvania in Lancaster County, um, pretty dramatic, uh, very close encounter, just like the thing in Columbia. And so, yeah, we'll Columbia. Somebody said what state? Maryland. And Maryland has a history of these type of creatures. They call them. They go by a lot of different names. Dwayyo is probably the biggest name for it. Up in Pennsylvania, in the area around Lancaster County and sound in South Central, they call it the Hexen Wolf, which is very similar to what they called it over in the old country. So they go by quite a different amount of names here. They use different monikers. So yeah. So if you got any questions, put them up. Let's see what you got. See what we can do. I see we got a few new people in here tonight. That's great. We got 24 people for this, which is amazing. I don't think I've ever had more than 15. So I'm glad everybody's coming in. Yeah, if you can put your questions in caps in the chat, put them up there, and we'll see what we can do. Never know what's in your backyard. That's true, especially around here. I mean, this part of Pennsylvania in particular is just crazy, and you know, we're South Central Pennsylvania, then down into Maryland, and a lot of what happens up here happens down there as well. So, yeah, it's I live in Baltimore City. It's Ruptured Duck. Maryland, Columbia isn't that far. No, it isn't. And in fact, the Patapsco State Park is right there as well too. I mean, uh, Patapsco State Park is a huge area, and you know, that's where I had my Bigfoot encounter years ago. Okay, Dachshund Master, what are the chances of us hunting down Dogman in the land between the lakes? Is it even a good idea? You know, I think most of what we get as far as reports in the LBL, which is the land between lakes in Kentucky, I don't know how much of that is really true, though I have had encounter reports there, but it hasn't all been cryptid canines. I've had Bigfoot and a few other odd things there as well. As far as going, the chances of hunting one down, you know, that's anywhere. I think people that go cryptid hunting or whatever they're looking for a specific thing, I think the chances are very slim you're ever going to run into it. It always seems to be a happenstance thing. So, I mean, I know how that's been with me. I mean, I never expected to have a a Bigfoot encounter and then later a winged humanoid encounter. So, Kirk W75, hey, long greetings from Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania. Hope you're doing great tonight. That's near Altoona. I've had some sightings there. We've had some upright canine sightings. That's in Blair County. So, yeah. Anybody have any comments too? I'm willing to. Yeah, Luke Shanahan, good to see you, Luke. Haven't talked to you in a long time. I had a sighting of what I thought was a jet. I always watch aircraft in our area. This particular jet was around 20,000 feet up and it stopped on a dime and then drifted back into the clouds. You know, all the encounters that I've had in sightings and stuff over the years, I've never had what I really considered a UFO sighting. Sure, I've seen orbs, I've seen lights in the sky, but as far as something looking like a craft or or what I would consider a UFO, or it's I've just never had that. Sir Wolf, any more Mothman sightings in Chicago? Since the last time I reported one, there haven't been any that had been reported to us. Um, we, yeah, I'm just trying to think. I don't think we have. I don't know if it's just ending now or if it'll pick up later. We'll have to wait and see. But as soon as I get something, I'll put it out there. Marla Snyder, we have all heard of the Bigfoot UFO connection. Ever any reports of other cryptid UFO connections? Yeah, the Mothman, and that with the sightings that happened down in Point Pleasant and in Mason County back in '66 and '67, there were other UFO reports going on around there. Now I don't know if they were associated with the Mothman. Now I know the Bigfoot connections here in Pennsylvania, and there were two famous ones. Weren't really close together that they may have been actually connected. I had a couple UFO connections with the humanoids or winged humanoids at O'Hare. We had two of them. One was at the cemetery, at the Rest Haven Cemetery, where our truck driver literally saw an egg-shaped UFO manifest above the cemetery, and a humanoid-like being was taken on a beam was transported up into the craft. We never did figure out what that was. And then in the southwest area of the airport, where they were doing a lot of construction work, and they still are, near Bensonville, there was a night guardsman or night watchman who had an encounter with a sighting of one of these winged humanoids. And as he went to investigate, a large triangle-shaped craft appeared. Now, I don't know. I don't think it was directly associated with the winged humanoid. And in fact, I kind of have a feeling that these beings that do inhabit these craft literally do show up because of their detection of these creatures. And why they do that, I don't know. But I don't think these creatures have any direct contact with these UFOs or those creatures or aliens or whatever that are flying these things. So, but that's left to be seen. We'll have to wait and see if there's something that shows up. Ruptured duck. I first saw Bigfoot in the Fairchance, Uniontown, Pennsylvania, June 1972. Yeah, there's been several sightings of Bigfoot in and around Uniontown. Of course, Stan Gore's been reporting a lot of that over the years. I've talked to several people who have had sightings there and areas around there. We had a bunch of sightings of a bunch of weird creatures over by, and I don't know if you know this area. It's not too far from Uniontown, but the what's the name of the place? It's the Steelworkers, Linden Hall, the Steelworkers golf course and resort convention area they have out there, and it's right on the Yakagani. And there have been some sightings of big cats and Bigfoot there as well over the years. Crazy backyard chicken man. Could the military be trying to pick up these creatures? I guess possibly. I don't really know. You know, I really don't know how, and none of us really know what the government, what their level of involvement is with these beings, but I guess it's possible. Luke Shanahan, Lon, what's your take on what we call the shadow people? Do you think that they could be phasing into our reality, perhaps from another dimension? Well, first of all, I don't believe the shadow people have anything to do with human spirit. I think they're probably more closely related to otherworldly life or aliens or whatever. I've always, and I have dealt with a few shadow people reports and infestations in homes and attachments and stuff over the years. I do believe the shadow people are dangerous beings. And I think they are kind of attracted or mostly attracted to locations where there's a lot of dysfunction or death or a lot of family issues and stuff. I mean, it seems they feed off that energy. Um, and it's not only the living they feed off of, it's the energy of the deceased they live off as well. Um, I but they are dangerous. They are very dangerous and they linger. And the only way to get rid of those things, and I've said this before, is to lessen the amount of negative energy that they can feed upon and grow stronger. When things are calmed down, say a family's got a lot of dysfunction, there's a lot of things going on. And people are seeing these shadow people, and many times they seem to grab energy from the living, and people report them. Um, when when that negative energy is lessened, they will normally take off or find another place to go. I see Kevin just sent me a message. Okay, Kevin, I got it. Sir Wolf, hi Lon. Could you elaborate on when your guides are near? Is it more of a knowing than sensing or a changing atmosphere? Have you ever seen them? Thanks. I don't necessarily see them. My mind's eye picks up forms sometimes, but they're very vague. As I've said before, many times when any type of energy is around me, that's non corporeal energy, or even the guides, or even the angels, I do get a sense of colors. And usually I get there's certain colors that do show up in my mind's eye that I pick up on. Um, but that's how I do sense them. Now, if I'm involved in something deeper like an RV, or if I'm doing some type of energy work uh, as an intuitive, I can pick up a little bit better. I can get. It's hard to describe. Sometimes I can get messages from them, but again, it's not like a voice thing. It's almost like a teletype shows up in my head and they're telling me things. It's really hard to explain, but it's profound, and I can normally pick it up pretty quick. It's usually stronger in the evening if I'm just sitting around and I'm not really thinking about anything, trying to go to sleep. Uh, Sometimes they'll come in there and very briefly and try to either make a connection. So, but when I'm really concentrating on them or concentrating on a case, they seem to show up. John Huchin. Lon, I think you had an evil incident at your workplace. Am I correct? Not sure. I had a few things happen to me when I used to work at the mill. I used to work at a paper recycling mill as an engineer. I worked there for 20 years. I had a few things show up. I've seen a few things. Usually it was associated with somebody who had died at the plant. Um, the 20 years I was there were 3 deaths. And I saw the energy of 2 of those after they had passed away. As far as evil, yeah, there was a lot there that because the place was old. I mean, the area was actually built back in the original mills were built back in the 1820s. So some parts of that old mill are still there. And, every once in a while I would pick up on something that just didn't seem right. And I tried to avoid it. I was usually busy and not trying to get involved with that. There were times when I would go back into the mill, especially if I was on guard duty, because I would volunteer for guard duty sometimes on weekends if we shut down, because it was a 24-hour operation. But when we did shut down, I usually volunteered to go in there and to just keep an eye on the place. They called it fire watch or whatever, just make sure the place didn't burn down. And it was incredibly quiet in that place, other than the cats making noise and raccoons and everything else. But every once in a while, and I don't know if because it was so quiet that I could pick up on more energy or whatever, but there were a few things I did experience. I wouldn't necessarily call them evil, but it was sketchy. Barbara Mora, Lon, do you think you will go to the crash site with Spaced Out Radio in the near future? I'm going to try to. Yeah, I'm going to try to. I'm working on getting my passport back. I let it run out, and I got to get that before I can go up to Canada now. So, but Dave, Tim, and I had talked about it, and I will probably go up there if I can. And I will say, I'm definitely going to be armed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's just too many too much dangerous wildlife in the area, and I don't know if you watched the last video with Lolly Bennett, who had joined Tim and Dave on the investigation. That was very interesting. She is a Manitoban Cree of Manitoban Cree descent, and she was picking up on all kinds of things. And honestly, I did a report about it, and I sent it off to Tim and Dave. I may make it available eventually, but she picked up on a lot of stuff I had been picking up on the area, and Dave did forward the report to her. But she did a drumming chanting session as well, which was really interesting, and they did get some response to it. David Jones Locker, glad to see you back. Lon, have you ever had anything follow you home? Yeah, I had one thing. I had an attachment that stuck with me for many, many years. And I didn't even know about it until someone I knew actually picked up on it and removed it. And I had that thing for about 30 years. Well, close to 30 years. And it was an attachment of a female spirit who I investigated back in 1981 down in Maryland outside of Ellicott City. And right off the Patapsco River on River Road. Anybody who lives in the area knows where River Road is. Comes off Old Frederick Road. But that area, there used to be a plantation there years back in, until 1866 when it washed away. But yeah, that was the spirit where I literally ran into, and it attached to me. I didn't know it, didn't have any idea until it was removed from me. And I tell you, that 24 hours after it was removed, I was literally out of it. I couldn't do anything. It was 24 hours of just sleeping, basically. More or less, there was a Bigfoot sighting at Arundel Mills Mall. Yeah, when they were building the mall, and I forget when that was. That was in the 80s. But yeah, they had a Bigfoot sighting by some of the construction workers there. They found prints and everything. But that area has been known for Bigfoot. And for those who don't know where it's in Anne Arundel County. It's Arundel Mills near Hanover, Maryland, and it's a huge mall. But when they were building it, some of the workers had an encounter with a Bigfoot there. It's not too actually. It's not too far out of off of Columbia too. It's probably about 6 or 7 miles from Columbia. So you can get on Route 29 and get to the mall from there. Ruptured Duck asked about the Herring Run Park. There had been sightings down there over the years, and I never had a sighting reported to me from Herring Run. But you know, all the small parks and stream areas in and out of the city, even in the city, even on the west side. I've had Bigfoot reports down in Lincoln Park. For those who know where that's at, my in-laws didn't live too far from there, and it was right off of Windsor Mill Road. Oh, was it Windsor Mill? Yeah, it was right off of Windsor Mill Road, and yeah, we've had sightings there. The area is pretty well known for body dumping. A lot of times, the bodies end up being dumped there from some of the activity in the area, but there had been Bigfoot sightings there. John Huchin, why so many winged humanoid entities in Chicago area and not elsewhere? Thanks. There have been sightings elsewhere, but since it was in a urban area, which is very unusual for cryptids in particular, we just had people seeing them and reporting them, and most of the people, and it's still even up until a year ago, had no idea about the sightings in the Chicagoland area. But I think right now we're at 186 reports that we believe are valid reports, and that's within a 250-mile radius of Chicago downtown. So, yeah. Don't know why though. Wish I did. I mean, that's a big part of the investigation why they're showing up. Sir Wolf, did that attachment feed from you, or was it just lost? I never really felt anything, though. When it was removed and after I recovered from it, I did notice a loss. Now, I don't know if it's hard to describe what it was. It was a good loss, a bad loss. I don't know. I'd imagine any type of attachment is going to feed off of whatever energy that you have. But the fact that I didn't notice it, or didn't cause problems that I noticed, I don't think it was that strong. But when it was removed, I did notice it. Paul asks, Lon, what are your thoughts on Skinwalker Ranch, military, or something else? Oh, geez. I'm going to get myself in trouble with this. But I think Skinwalker Ranch is probably very similar to a lot of areas worldwide that had just a lot of activity. Now, that particular area is well known for a lot of strange things, even when it was, area controlled by the Utes and even the Navajo. The Navajo especially were first there, and they were run off by the Ute tribe. And apparently, in Navajo lore, they put a curse on it when they were run out. And I don't know if it has anything to do with it or what. Some of the phenomena that people report or have reported there is interesting. But honestly, I have watched the TV show a couple of times. And my honest opinion is I think a lot of it's a bunch of bunk. They're trying to do a TV show, and they got to try to keep people watching it. I haven't really seen much of anything that I believe is beyond explanation. There's a lot of theories, but and I have expressed these thoughts on this area before, and I have had reports of activity just outside of the area, just outside of the Skinwalker Ranch, but it's really not that much different than a lot of things we hear about in other areas as well. Yeah, it could be there could be a supernatural connection there, but I just don't think it's much different than a lot of other places. It's just more famous. Yeah, Paranormalism Net states that Bigelow never showed us what he got from all the money he spent. Well, yeah, Bigelow, then the guy who owned it later, and then that was sold to the state of Utah. So, from what I know, the state of Utah owns the area now, and they did expand it. In fact, they used eminent domain to extend the boundaries of the area. So, yeah, I don't know what to think about it. I think now it's just more of a it's more of gotten going into the legendary stage at this point. Now, look, I deeply respect George Knapp and Colm Kellner, who did the investigations there and wrote the book. And I think that the activity that they reported on did happen. I think a lot of it did happen, but it's just not much different than we have heard from other places. Anything else, folks? Let's see, we're up to 45 people in here tonight. My God, that's amazing. I hope it keeps increasing. Yeah, Brandon Fugel's the guy's name. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about him. I don't like to comment on people, but that are associated with it. But there are people who I do work with who know my thoughts on some of the people associated with the TV show and other things. So I'll just leave it at that. Barbara Mora, have you considered going to the Phenomenon event in Vernal, Utah, near Skinwalker Ranch? I haven't really thought about it. I know Dave Scott has talked about it. He mentioned something to me about it a while back. Um, but I do know they have an event there at Vernal. Um, and I think a lot of it has to do with invitation as well. So I mean, as far as going just for the event itself, I haven't considered it, but I've never been asked, and there's probably a good reason why I haven't been asked. Anything else, folks? Yeah, yeah. I very rarely comment on Skinwalker Ranch unless I get a report from the area. Okay, now look. Again, I want to thank everybody who has donated in the past for the website and for the show itself. I mean, this is what we. Uh, as long as I can keep things going and it's financially viable for me, and I will continue on with all this. But we're working on it, and if I didn't love doing all this, I wouldn't even. When the website went down, I wouldn't even bother with it. But it's what I do, and it's part of what I do, and there's a lot of people, and believe me, I'm getting inundated by people who are wondering where the website is. Still am, and what am I going to say? All I can say is, well, it'll be there when it's there. I'm just working on it. Travis Cruz, any more follow up with Brenda Cryptid Four Corners? I haven't talked to Brenda Harris in a long time. Um, I did an interview with her not long after JC passed. Uh, and I have kept in touch with her on a few things, but I haven't really talked to her. Uh, I I'm not really associated anymore with any of the people at Crypto Four Corners. Every once in a while, somebody will reach out, but other than that, it's about the extent of it. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I appreciate, and I do appreciate all the good vibes and support and all the nice the niceties and comments that people make. And look, if you do have a comment about anything, I appreciate you putting it up on YouTube on my comments because yeah, it helps out. I mean, it really does. It helps what they say the algorithm. I don't know if it really helps with the algorithm or not, but everybody else says it, so I'll say it. David Jones Locker, which one would you want to encounter, Dogman, Sasquatch, or Mothman? Well, I've encountered Sasquatch and probably a Mothman. I can do without the Dogman. Those things, they frighten me. And especially after some of the reports I received recently. They're just too unpredictable, I think. And so. Let's see. Okay, well, we're getting a drop off on people watching right now, so I guess we're about done. So again, I want to thank you all for coming on here, and we'll keep doing this. And as far as membership and perks and everything, I'm going to try to provide as much as I can when an opportunity comes up, and I can provide something different for everybody. I will do that. But look, if you have suggestions, please put them up into the comments or send it to me at lonstrickler@famsandmonsters.com. And if you ever have any accounts or anything you want to report to me, feel free to do so. And hey, refer others to me as well, because if I don't get reports, I don't do any of this. And I've got a good team working with me. I've been working closely recently with Rissa, and we're about to do some Mothman presentations in the area, and especially here in Pennsylvania, in Hanover, Pennsylvania, and others. We're going to be at we're also going to be at the Albatwitch Festival, wherever they decide to have that up. You had to ask Marla about that. I think they're working on getting a new location. So I'll be there. Rissa and I will be doing that, and so hopefully we're going to have some more presentations of other phenomena, especially in this part of the country. So yeah, so folks, I'll see you Friday. Show up, and it should be a very interesting presentation because of these new reports. They're different. So you all have a good evening. Have a good rest of the week, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.